For women, hukana involves opening the eyes and jutting out their chins. For men, it means widening the eyes and stretching out their tongue or baring their teeth. Though these expressions may be intimidating, they are not necessarily a sign of aggression, but may simply show how strong and deep-felt emotions.
Oi sirawat naman do pungsam numian sumay varia tao do varida makarang da tatataladam abu mangya jidanya kat atao. Amu sinidkeran niya numan rawayam tanajidanya kacam aro tao do pichililan na mayami tumita suman rawayam.
泽兰见识南岛，带你看见台湾，认识南岛。来吼，我是谢乐清，欢迎你加入见识南岛的行列。除了生物多样性之外呢，实际上文化多样性也是这几年国际之间在文化交流上面一个非常重要的关注。那2003年之后，透过联合国教科文组织他们所订定的这个公约里面，那么把非物质遗产列为是一个非常重要的关注的对象哦。那在我们南岛语族里面，或者是我们南岛民族里面呢，实际上有各式各样的乐舞，然后呢，在这个乐舞里面呢，隐藏了我们的文化的符码。所以在今天早兰见识南岛，我们要透过几位重要的人士，包括了来自纽西兰毛利人，以及我们台湾达悟族这些在传统乐舞上面的这个倡议者还有推动者，那我们一起来了解一下。大家好，我先呢为大家介绍今天的语坛人呢。那首先呢是台湾达悟族，那我们这边呢是这个Syaman Macinanao， 对不对？谢永全老师，老师你好。对，那今天呢，这个老师呢，因为用族语来演讲，所以呢，今天我们邀请到了呢马主播来帮我们翻译哦。马老师你好。
主持人好，大家好，平安。
对，那今天呢，重要的远方来的来宾哦，那包括了毛利族的这样代表，那我们一起来欢迎 Ashleigh Webster。Ashleigh 你好。
有的。
好，那今天呢，英语翻译呢还是一样，我们的黄飞碧老师哦，老师你好。
Interpreter hello。
对，那我们今天另外一位语坛人呢，也是这毛利族的代表，我们一起来欢迎这个 Gypsy Rose。
有的。
好，是在今天的节目实际上我们难得我们可以将在我们的南岛语族里面的所有的兄弟姐妹们呢来到现场。不过我现在要先请教谢永全老师哦，就是第一次感受到传统乐舞所带来的喜悦跟感动，最强烈的一次是哪一次呢
？Ibsa naman na maluvot niluvot da do ano makaya maluvutam sirawurwa kakanakan madlavayo pam uru ni maganam uryam ni maluvot sirawan makaya kapaganam da amo machitakwam irati o irati yam o madlavayo kakanakanam uru ni maganam dudang miyan nanud nam uru api ya machitako。
所以这是那个老师你的体验哦。那我想了解一下，就 Ashleigh， 就是在你自己就受到传统的这个毛利的乐舞，这个第一次最深的感动是什么时候
？In Aotearoa, we have competitions where we can perform as young school children. So for me, my most exciting experience was when I was in my second year of high school and we performed at a regional competition in Auckland, which is the largest of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, so Polyfest, where I was in the kapa group. So I was able to perform with 40 ladies, 40 wahine, which was very exciting. So that's probably my first and favorite memory of performing kapa.
那 Gypsy 有没有类似的体验呢？
Yes, I also, in New Zealand, we also have a huge competition called Te Matatini. Te Matatini is the biggest kapa festival in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And there I got to perform and stand on this stage at the age of 16, which is very, very young to be performing on such a huge stage in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So that was definitely my most significant time where I got to experience my cultural dance.
这一次呢，刚好两位来自于南半球的朋友，刚好这一次来到台湾哦，那跟目前为止跟我们台湾原住民族的交流，跟我们这边族人的交流，那么看到乐舞，看到我们这边自己的乐舞，然后跟自己族人的这些原来的文化，有没有哪些相似的地方呢？
I think for Aotearoa, we've got quite a specific way that we perform. So the movements are a little bit different. It's probably a little bit closer to our Pacific brothers and sisters. So there's the movements, the group movements, I think have been quite similar. But apart from that, I think we're very lucky that we have very unique cultures and we're able to celebrate our own cultures in our own special way.
在今天的传统乐舞的这个文化的交流里面呢，其实非常重要，是来自于达悟族的manhawey跟毛利族的这个haka。那其实这两个舞蹈里面呢，除了肢体之外，另外一个让大家对津津乐道，也是人类学家想要了解，就是表情，这表情。所以manhawey的表情就是怎么样去，应该说看到毛利族的haka也有这样的表情的时候，老師你心里怎么想呢
？Ya kumasanya buria mactado telebisirao yukwa maudi tuyado haka kuana. Lucitan ko siram yakman daman so numan gawi naman niya.
那我想了解，就是 haka 里面的那个表情，到底它有什么样子的意义？
This is an interesting question. So for our wahine, for our ladies, we have a different style to our men. So our ladies like to widen your eyes and to show off your chin. And part of it is from stories from long ago when we look at the carvings. They've got widened eyes. So we draw, I guess, inspiration from that as well. So when we're opening our eyes, we're showing the people that we're performing to more about us as a people. And then our Tane do something a little bit different where they extend their tongue as well.
相信呢，今天听完就是两个不同文化的对话之后呢，会让大家对台湾的达悟族还有纽西兰的毛利人的中间的传统的乐舞呢有更深的了解。那究竟有什么样的故事呢？我们一起来了解一下。
The hands are another visual element. The wiri, the quavering of hands, is an integral part of Māori movement. This goes back to the origins of Tanerore, the atua of kapaka. The hands mimicked our elements of our environment. A depiction of heat rising from the ground in the summer, the rolling ocean waves, the wind rustling leaves on trees, and the rain falling around us.
欢迎你回到ZALAN见识南岛。在今天的第一位主讲人是来自于纽西兰的 Ashleigh Webster。那 Ashleigh 毕业于奥克兰大学，是纽西兰的毛利人。那么在大学的时候呢，主修的是毛利人跟太平洋研究。那么现在是一个纽西兰非营利组织叫 Tupupau 他的一个计划的负责人。那么在今天呢，他要针对这个毛利的这个传统的乐舞 haka 来做一个分享。到底 haka 是一个什么样子的表演形式？那么在文化上面又有什么样的意义呢？让我们一起来欢迎 Ashleigh Webster。
E ngā mana, e ngā reo, rauranga tirama, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ni hao. Thank you for the opportunity to come and share our Māori culture, and in particular, our Māori performance culture with you whilst we're here visiting Taiwan. It's important to know that Māori have always recorded our history and our ancestral knowledge through oral practice, through our traditional arts. Whakairo, wood carving, is a practice that allowed us to capture our knowledge through our unique cultural patterns and designs. The use of our native flora, fauna, flax and feathers in our clothing, utensils, art and everyday life just shows our relationship with te taiao, the environment. These practices are a known science and an art form combined. Kapa haka, performing arts, is how we express ourselves emotionally and physically to ourselves and to others when we bring our culture to life. As we begin to share our kōrero, here are a few things to note. Māori are the indigenous people of Aotearoa, New Zealand. We have a population of 85,000 out of 5 million people in Aotearoa. Māori represents 17% of New Zealand's population. Aotearoa is located deep in the southern hemisphere, and we consist of 2 main islands and lots of small outer islands. Most Māori call the North Island Te Ika a Maui, the fish of Maui, and the South Island Te Waka a Maui. Maui is our great eponymous ancestor who effectively discovered Aotearoa. We are the first country in the world to see the sun. We have 98 different iwi, our tribes, and we all speak a common language, Te Reo Māori. We are intrinsically linked with our environment, our maunga, our mountain, our whenua, the land, our rivers, lakes and ocean, our moana, our awa. They are our tupuna, our ancestors. This is the basis for our Te Ao Māori worldview and how we interact with our taiao. Our whakapapa, our history and ancestry, connects us to the indigenous Taiwanese tribes. We share the same DNA. The Austronesian connection that joins us across the Pacific Ocean is thousands of years old. Aotearoa means land of the long white cloud. Māori people tell our pūrākau, our stories, through oratory and also our waiata, songs, mōteatea, traditional chants, and haka, our war cry or rallying calls. One of our Māori legend tells us that our sun god, Tamanui Te Rā, had 2 wives, Hine Raumati, who was the maiden of summer, and Hine Takurua, the maiden of winter. Tamanui Te Rā and Hine Raumati had a son named Tanerore, who became the god of haka and performing arts. Kapa haka is the term for Māori performing arts. A kapa means to form a line, and haka is the movement in which we use. It's a dance. Kapa haka involves an emotional and powerful combination of song, dance, and chanting. Māori record our whakapapa, our ancestry, our history, significant events, stories in the lyrics and movements used, as well as our iwi, our communities. It is performed by cultural groups on marae, in schools, and during special events and festivals. During a kapa haka performance, you'll experience a range of compositions, from chants and choral singing to graceful action songs and ferocious war dance. Many performances include skilled demonstrations of weaponry and facial expressions, our pukana. Culturally, all aspects of this wonderful combination of performing arts are used and demonstrated in Māori society: haka, our war dance, waiata, songs, and mōteatea, our traditional chants. Māori performing arts form a significant part of Māori identity and iwi, our tribal identity. Traditionally, before engaging in battle with others, tribal war parties would use haka to excite and rally the warriors. On their return, the village would also celebrate their conquests with haka or waiataringa, action songs, or lament the losses of through the haka of mōteatea. Kapa haka was also used for developing coordination and skills in manipulating weapons and body movements and agility. Many of the dance movements involve gestures of the hands, arms, face, and originate from the warrior training or images of nature. For example, the movement of wuri originated from the shimmer of the land. In more modern times, in the early 1940s, the Māori battalion were renowned for utilizing waiata and haka to lift the spirits of men who were on the other side of the world fighting in World War II. Many of the songs composed at this time utilized the local tunes that they had heard whilst in Europe, putting Māori lyrics to the music they heard. Haka were performed in camps and new ones written by men there. It was a real attribute to their leadership amidst themselves, as the connection to the Māori culture is so much more. The wairuatanga, the spirituality, the emotional connection, and the physical connection create a bond to our past, our present, and our future. Loved ones and families also compose new waiata and haka to express their aroha or their love for their family members. Many of the haka composed acknowledge specific events. New or old, the practice remains the same. At the end of the 1920s, the first Māori radio broadcasted songs across the airwaves. This was pinnacle to keeping the language alive, the stories alive, and our culture. There are many different styles of kapa haka, and often there are tribal nuances and moves that are easily identifiable. When people perform kapa haka, there are key traits. Pukana, facial expressions, are an important facet of kapaka. A pukana helps to emphasize the point in a song or haka and demonstrate the performer's ferocity or passion. For women, pukana involves opening the eyes and jutting out their chins. For men, it means widening the eyes and stretching out their tongue or baring their teeth. Though these expressions may be intimidating, they are not necessarily a sign of aggression, but may simply show how strong and deep-felt emotions. The hands are another visual element. The wiri, the quavering of hands, is an integral part of Māori movement. This goes back to the origins of Tanerore, the atua of kapaka. The hands mimicked our elements of our environment. A depiction of heat rising from the ground in the summer, the rolling ocean waves, the wind rustling leaves on trees, and the rain falling around us. In haka, it is a movement where this was originally the tactic to help make movements deceptive in the art of combat. Mahiaringa arm actions, straight and circular hand-arm gestures, can be soft and melodic, or punctuated with strong accents and forceful movements, as you see in haka. Hand snapping is another technique used, also emphasizing sound and movements relevant to the waiata or haka being performed. The feet, or waiwaitaka here, the stomping of feet, is used to keep the beat, to help synchronize the performers. The stomping can also be used to emphasize actions or words in waiata and haka. Hip swinging movements are used to swing piu-piu. Traditional flax stride and dyed skirts, the swing of the piu-piu is used to emphasize certain sounds. Altogether, it can look something like this. As mentioned earlier, we incorporate our native fauna and flora into our traditional clothing, and now our performance clothing and costumes. Whilst new materials and methods have been introduced, we still use our traditional knowledge to make our traditional and performance clothing and costumes today. It takes a lot of planning, time, and patience. Often our hunters and gatherers who have the skills, knowledge, and the responsibility to make our traditional garments will follow the maramataka, the Māori lunar calendar cycle. The maramataka informs them of when is the right time to gather the appropriate natural resources. Native plants, leaves, and flax, time to dry the fibers to make the garments. Feathers to adorn our kākahu, our korowai, our prestigious cloaks. Native wood, our hardwood used for our weaponry. Pounamu, greenstone for jewellery, and natural dyes from both mud, flowers, and berries to add colours to garments. To enhance performance, Māori incorporate traditional weapons and weaponry action in the performed items. Some of these examples are our poi, twirling balls, mostly used in performance by women. Originally, poi were used in combat in preparation to strengthen the wrists and increase the flexibility. Rako, long, thin wooden batons used in close battle for combat. Our patu, hand-held short-range weapons, often made from hardwood, stone or pounamu, or native greenstone to Aotearoa. So when our kaihaka perform, all of these elements are fully integrated and have a purpose. It gives us a strong relationship between the actions and the waiata. The use of objects like taiaha, poi or patu, the body movement, our wiri, our pukana, our takahi waiwai, and the use of soloists leading the action. The frequent separation of men and women in the different groups, and the use of unison and ensemble choreography, our rhythmic footwork, and the clothing and costumes worn. It's amazing today that New Zealand haka, especially kamate from the Ngāti Toa tribe, is known all over the world. Māori culture has been a bridge in building nationhood for Aotearoa and for our people globally. National kapaka competitions are held every 2 years, where the best of the best compete for the prestigious titles on behalf of their iwi and communities. Kapahaka has become an identifiable part of Aotearoa, New Zealand's identity, with many national sports teams. They will perform haka, our chants and actions, to their opposition at the beginning of their matches, used to incite energy and unity amongst the team. While laying down the challenge to their opposing team, men and women haka, however, each has their own specific style. It's how we welcome or acknowledge people, physically and spiritually. New Zealanders see kapahaka performed at public events. The performers and the audience feel a sense of pride in who they are and their connection with each haka. When the All Blacks perform a haka before kickoff, the pride is visible, both in the players and the spectators. Te Matatini, our National Kapahaka Festival, is a significant cultural event for Māori performing arts in Aotearoa. The name Te Matatini was given by Professor Wharehuia Milroy and refers to the many faces who bring kapahaka to life. They're individuals, they're whānau, families, hapu, our sub-tribes, and our iwi, our larger tribes. They're young, they're old, some are performers, some are tutors, some are composers, and some are choreographers. Many are volunteers, organizers, trainers, cooks, all supporting the kapa haka whānau, inspiring participation and the continuation of Māori performing arts across Aotearoa. Kapa haka is performed in homes, on marae, in schools, in communities, regional, national and international levels. New Zealand has 2 national qualifications in kapa haka, the National Certificate in Māori Performing Arts and the National Diploma in Māori Performing Arts Tutoring. So as you can see, Māori performing art is alive and well in Aotearoa, New Zealand. It's an integral part of our Māori cultural society and New Zealand today. Nō reira e te whānau, he mihi nunui kia koutou katoa. In closing, to our Taiwanese family and friends, we are grateful for you and thank you. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Ta ano no mianuriam akmoy mapasuriso kataw-tawam usa ni pakagnatso rakwa chinid kerano asa kaya magakayam na manawira na sitay ko ay ratandano rarakaya o dimachi panrawita akmay minababangsoy nawan.
欢迎你回到ZALAN见识南岛。我们非常感谢 Ashleigh Webster 刚才的分享。那在分享里面呢，让我们在广义从宏观的角度来了解这个 haka 这样子一个特别的这个毛利的乐舞哦。那么接下来呢，这分享人呢是来自于兰屿达悟族人的谢永泉老师。老师呢长期在推动这个族语的复振，那么透过这个传统的歌谣呢，让我们了解族语的美。在今天呢的分享里面，我们要集中在兰屿一个非常重要而且特别的一种文化形式，也就是马尾。到底这样子的一个乐舞形式有什么样的重要的文化意义，而在当代又显现出什么样的风貌呢？让我们一起来欢迎谢永泉老师。
Mata mo lipa salawa kak mataywa ano katawo tawo ho kak mataywa ano katawo tawo pratananye ya madutaye ngato ho ako kay kamo ichatatao nam nakano yamanita so tiribia ya kanam Syaman Macinanao oya ko ya dama kay pongamia Pia o pantasyado pong suyano mapabusbuso alimaswavata chinidkranam amian so manrawi. Uya kunununganam tabi sa tarik do pichililan na yaw manrawya o kunununganam yaman o ay rarali no manrawi naman. Alipatsitanam pala din yung manrawi. Ano ka kwapam amian so arwai po nga ni mayo pungso akavat-vatak dado machita dado pungso mangisado je morodam tuda cita wo mapabus-pusra kwat sinid kurana kanruwa towa manrawi ano cita anda siram ala sirama muruya swanyi to kondata oram ni vat-vat kandori do vakunda kiyan no asakatao do ilaw dia yang nanchun ya buranori au makasosa. Oya mingara na si yang nanjunura ya buranoram ikaragat no univat-vat kanda no ipung yam yamanudo ya mamrusanyituan kwanam ni mayori do irala do iljinaman. Turi much saro do irale no ka ipay niyan. O amyan so ni mapabusbuso alimaswavata kapan rawinam. Uriak no ipung amaten ngam. Uri unya kadlan na so pinmataw kwa kapansinan niya. Yung kung pipi pangayan no nang Uy pansinano pinmataw na nam. Uy anam pasorin no kataw-tawa ka no karari. Ta ano no miano riyam akmoy mapasuri so kataw-tawam uy sa ni pakagnat so rakwa chined karanor. So ikwana no raka mo pipi pa ngayon na no manraw yo do rakwa chined karanor. Baka na mamruho swanyito rik. Yamiandang so iya sa katawa mamruho swanyito no manragnat so chined karaniya. Utawuram o yamiando sad no rakwa chined karana. Asa ka tao mga pararuya may sisinaw uri pancha mamuruso yo so anito amno mamururam baka na taman gawo yo do tingato no sagad no chinid karan yako ipanchido dia ichichirawat naman do je raralino mangawi naman man maamir ngan pa aga pansyata kasarwam ipinyikanyikat pa uy kadwa narwam uruy pa busbusa iyayan no mangaoy. Umachta naman na minyikanyikatam sirawasa chinid karanoram to sira rasing do dito ya kaino nyikatasin mo unda. Wasa chinid karanoram amyan siya da nga as mapangiso isin mudaso nyikat. Akiyan no chiring dano ni maya ni katora dira ko na dira no matika siram sa navo no ngorido varida o ninya katdora mangida ngambira uri chichirawat naman do minikani katora no mangisir dividam to sirawi ori mirarawod akarawat ikadwa naruam urumingang yudrian na amian paso miyan mo kano amian so teke dudang pateke-teke. Oya ko ipancijani makdeng na manrawiran no jangyur dumakuyab manrawi. No manrawi suram amian pasiroryo asa chined keranang do sagad nan chined keranora mirarawd. Tao na dudangam tiusapainan yan na siraw amian jijitwa, amian dujitwa, amian dujito. Uyam, uru mai du jami mangawi. Macitarak jam jiralito no mangawi naman, jinaman mapacitaya ta tumayo naman na, amian so savalin naman. Uichirawat naman do pungsayam, mangawi yan, ayam nukakuam, siraw makavivo akanurarak, abu kanakan. Abu mabaka sura machipan ngawi. Si chay kwa nam yapiata yamyasok kanakanan arwa kutsong ita naman asa kaya magakayam naman ngawi na si chay kwa. Ratan dano raraka ya di machipan ngawi ta ak may minababang soy nawano. Wuro ko'y pansya na si chay kwa. Ya numan ngawi naman nam tika siya may ano da may raud dadang kapan rawi danira numian do chined kurana amian sa katawa miyukod niya amraraso tawa may numan rawi nam cita masangoy pa na to siya nga isirura ipan chida siya natatangam yimutuling. Uti sapay nanura atawam uru manrawi dujitwa am yimunsura kagnat dasya. Mapalipalit dang malawaywam agnatin dore. Agnat nafsa kusok naman niya duwanwa. No makaranis duvano manawi naman pa makdeng da nga vari dano nyusok da rakwache chined karanuram avavangan da sisirawat naman do pungsayam uya mo rakwa pangarapan ni toyam mo nye paringa rakwa chined karanitam wavavangan da siya sangam citaan daw kaudang na kaunaun na Yakuto paslita pa dia chiring ko o ichirawat naman do pong numian sumay varia tao do varida makarangda tatataladam abu mangya gidanyakat atao. Amu chinedkeran niya numan rawayam tanajidanya kacam aro tao do pichililan na mayami tumita suman rawayam. Oreo ko ipanchay chirawat naman no pabos-bosen no chinedkeranam manraway. O ko ipanchay ko ay masitunto nam ikong upipi pangayan no manraway. O yaman ma ko ipanchura ya suram chinedkeran ak mi pasuryan so kataw-taw. Uro angayan kano karari siya. Ikadua na no pipi pangayan no manraway yam ipanchay naman na mga sesyam no mi chinedkeran suram. No mangawi siram uripos dado pichililan nam mangida nga mangawi. Amian sure do katang keda manay. Alaw pipi pangayan nam nuya ako matskilan din nam adyo ko pangawi do dia. Uy katlo na no pipi pangayan no mangawi yam. Maral tiata bekena chinedkeran waingan nutod na ka wala ma arayo. Numya so may kao yata woyam yaman doja sira dojituam nuwala ganda sira mangawi sira. Maral torido itchawat na menta umanala si chat yam adara to varavarida nga. O ikapatnan pipangano manrawi yam ye akman so siya so tao. Akman so simen so asa ripos niya ni pakakasi dati marat yan. Anye pachilimananda mangika aka asya si mususa. Yan ako. Akman susu yasya so ni mararatawura o ni didasnes na ka na ripos mo apapnan mo. Uriyo ya katanganan na pipi pangayan no manrawi ya. No kasi na kamanta na to siya manrawi uram abu chiring da makubot. Si chay kwa na yawo ya mi chinedkeranam ya mablis na si chay kwa ya. Tano ka ako pamtiyo sa chinedkeran siya tumapi vari so sang so kapit chinedkerandang. Am si chay kwa nam ya buranore. O ya darapan na siya chay kwa do pungsam o yak man sa nga yakabudbudan na pangarapan na chinedkeranam. Dar na to nga papi varay no rino. 亚达尼帕那个社区发展协会管的。我要马英人那说亲的个人呢，就是要啥个ilam，我要马英说，ano di kakraya vat kanam，ya dat vat kisah no yam，ani ya ru ni rapus cai kuaya dapar. Tanah bulan uru ya tiu sa chinid ka chinid kera ya tiu sa chinid kera no ya dak may tungapar na no siya huyam uya pansa ichichirawat do pungsam ya pamian siya mangapso umumalalam kuranga siya mangapso arwa ya mian susuli o sir dapon do ilaw dita sarangan ya mian so ya mirarauda amor ne jablisino ichichirawat naman no ya mienso ya mapabusbus do siya kuya. Ano ya ni Vatkano yam siya manrawidang do ni Vatkana. Oro ni jablisino ichichirawat naman na ya rapan siya no ya mienso pangarapan da pabusbusan na chinidkeranan. Si chay kuya o tamo naman machita ya ani maparing na ya sa ka chinidkeran na pangarapan namnam yak maya dwara na nakmaya ngayan no nang ta o ya sam o siya kuya miyan natungimong no rakwa chinidkeran no ya sa kilora no ya may vanwam da panaran swamong rayon Ya sao naman pivanwa na panaran suamong no na unikadwam yamian so ya davarino sangkong soya dapin natin siya mangaw do chinedgera. So ya piyaw na pipi pangayan no ya mangaw ya ta pamiano siya hoya ya makaparing so chinedgera no ya makdeng ya. No ko chitain siya毛利族siya do dakmay gan do haka kwanwam yo mo mas ngam no do yaman ngao yang oya ko to nak ma mukman siya yaman ngao yam yaro na pipi pangayan no yaman ngao yam inao ya no magapuria i pamaring sa alamap so kapamaring niya so akma de apon na ichichirawat da na no malavayos che kwaya kanakan amuro ko panchan no inao yan no uyaman ngawi tam yatong yan na davawang so na itay yati dendo manay do kayo na arwak kanakan sichay kwaya tao na no kwat ya chitana ya piyo ya makdeng no ya may chichinad karaneo manawi paka tennganda ja paka pandasano tao do ilaw dia tao do pichama ma tao na syak masya pia naman pan siya mangawi ora na ko panchan ayoy 我一直在想，如果用一种另外曼纳维的那个意义是认同，我是鼓励，好像我们可以创作一个舞码。
I think the manhawey is a very beautiful tradition and ritual that you've shared with us, and it's very exciting for us as Aotearoa coming through our Renaissance period and bringing back our language and our traditions to see that this is happening elsewhere in the world, and we really encourage you guys to get your young people into it.
在今天的展览见识南岛里面呢，我们邀请到了达悟族人跟毛利族人呢一起来分享哦，就是传统的乐舞里面两个非常重要的文化，也就是毛利人的这个kapa haka， 还有我们达悟族的这个 manhawey。不过呢，我们在看到这两个不同的，这个像我们从宏观的角度来看之外，其实呢，我今天想要先访问哦，就是这个 Gypsy Rose， 因为站在一个年轻的族人的立场，我们也认识自己的文化，但我们觉得说，除了 kapa haka 之外，全世界应该有还有哪一些人要认识毛利人一些特别的文化呢？
I think it's very important for, as a young Māori woman myself, that our culture can thrive off different aspects like song, not just haka. Haka is what we are known for. However, we have beautiful singers as well. The actions that we can portray whilst also doing other things such as waiataringa, so action songs. Really, there's so much more to haka than just haka. So definitely songs and language is such a huge aspect for me personally. Yeah.
Okay. And Ashleigh, how about singing about?
Yeah, in addition to what Gypsy said, I think us as a people, we're quite welcoming, we're quite friendly. Our greeting kia ora is to be well. So when we come out into the world, we're asking you to be well at all times. So yeah, I think that's a really important part.
因为刚刚我们谈到了传统的乐舞啊，歌曲、语言，实际上在达悟族里面，其实老师长期以来都在推动这些事情嘛。你看到纽西兰的毛利族人，他们有这样子年轻世代有这样子的自觉，然后有这样子的动力来完成文化的传承哦。其实就相对之下，就是其实我们在这块土地上要推这些都很困难，对不对？
毛利族人推行他们的语言是非常成功的，但是达悟族的语言现在非常危险，因为现在小孩子遇到一些年轻人，现在已经不会说我们的语言，所以我们的困难是在可能整个大环境没有那个可以营造让他们说族语。
因为我从这边切进来的原因是因为就是从 kapa haka 这样子一个表演形式 全世界认识毛利人之后，他们开始在了解他们的歌曲、他们的文化、他们的纹身的文化。所以如果透过manhawey这样子一个文化的推展，是不是也可以帮助族人甚至全世界来认识达悟族呢？
其实你要认识达悟族，也不是从单一的这样的事件去认识。
对，
我刚刚讲的就是我们现在很大的困难，就是现在的我们的孩子、年轻人，很多都不会说嘛。
是，对，所以在这边我们可以看到，其实我们在不同的世代里面，但有的看到自己的文化的复兴，有的看到自己的文化好像走到某一个困境里面哦。那我接着我再请教 Ashleigh 哦，就是这今天刚听完老师分享manhawey这样子的一个表演形式的时候，你自己内心的感受是什么？
I think the manhawey is a very beautiful tradition and ritual that you've shared with us, so thank you for that. It's been great to see that that's one way that you've kept your culture alive, and it's very exciting for us as Aotearoa coming through our Renaissance period and bringing back our language and our traditions to see that this is happening elsewhere in the world, and we really encourage you guys to get your young people into it, and we're really interested to see how much more it grows over the years.
我们今天透过ZALAN见识南岛，实际上我们是希望就是我们自己族人的文化，包括了这些传统的乐舞，能够以不同的形式，然后推展到全世界各地。那当然呢，就是我想要请教 Ashleigh 就是因为就是我们可以看到很多商业场合都可以看到 kapa haka 这样子一个表演的形式，族人会不赞成吗？会觉得说这个跟我们原来的东西目的不一样。
I think in New Zealand, we've come to a place where so long as you've been taught by the right people, you understand what the performance is about and that it's appropriate for the occasion, that it's okay. We have like I think earlier I said, we have a much bigger appreciation of our culture in Aotearoa. So it's a lot easier for us to now be able to go out into the world, share our culture with pride, knowing what it's about, who's written it, and what we're performing.
因为同样的问题，其实就要请教谢老师因为manhawey它如果变成了像 kapa haka 这么，它其实很商业的，对不对？所以它的表演性非常的强烈，然后我甚至于就某个程度上，它娱乐性也很高。可是就manhawey来讲，它其实更仪式性，它其实更具有神圣的地位嘛。所以要推广这个文化，老师你觉得呢？
我是觉得它会原来保持在大船下水的manhawey才是真正它存在的很好的。
是，所以台湾的球队出去就不能表现了吗？
我一直在想，如果用一种另外manhawey的那个意义是认同，我是鼓励，好像我们可以创作一个舞码或是一个动作可以。
对，因为刚才其实谈到了就是毛利文化，它其实经过了它漫长的复振时间，包括了1970年代的 Renaissance， 就是文艺复兴，用文艺复兴来形容所以就是大概让整个世界不同的文化的人理解到说它的精神内涵，所以我们把它的精神内涵变成了可以表演的形式，对不对？所以在manhawey这个我们可以做什么呢？他们可以改编成新的东西吗？
有可能，而且也很期待，希望可以呈现一个就是比较现代可以创作的那个歌跟舞。
今天通过ZALAN让两个不同的文化来隔空的交谈，但实际上大家认为真的是两个不同的文化吗？实际上呢，在我们南岛语族里面其实有很多共通的这个语言像我们讲手，对不对？我们讲手或者讲一些眼睛心，这些是一样的我讲个最简单的，老师，我们1到10怎么算？
达悟的1到10是1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
是，对。那如果是毛利呢
？Tahi, rua, toru, wha, rima, ono, fitu, waru, iwa, tekau。
是，所以那个 lima 跟那个 sedu， 对，这个就是5跟7，对不对？5跟7就一样的嘛，对，这我可以听到了。而且像这样子的文化里面，为什么台湾会有这么多的南岛语族的朋友， 然后来到台湾来拜访，是因为我们才发现我们分享了相同的语言，然后呢，甚至于在文化上面，在舞蹈上面也有很多相似的地方。但是我觉得最主要就是说，透过今天我们透过就是达悟族人跟毛利族人两边的交流，就可以看到就是说，实际上即使kapa haka 或者是说在 manhawey 好像看起来形式不一样，但它的精神内涵是一致的哦。那么透过肢体有强烈的情绪的表示，然后一些丰富的肢体呢，让外部的人哦，就是让其他的人能够了解到，我们现在想要表达的形式是什么。对，在语言沟通的情况之下，那南岛语族的朋友，我们的子民散在，你看我们从印度洋的马达加斯加，然后到夏威夷，到纽西兰，在这么广大的区域里面，其实能够遇到自己的兄弟姐妹是一件非常开心的事情。对，那老师希望这manhawey以后呢会有什么样的发展呢？
说实在的，因为它跟那个潮州文化也有关系，就是说潮州技术能不能传下去，这个也要看。
是，所以其实我刚才想的时候，如果以后啊那个车子新车对也用manhawey，不知道可不可以这样，对不对？但是当然还是我觉得是文化共同的去认同这样子啊，对啊。那我们也希望就是说就是毛利的文化能够持续在新世代的推广之下，能够跟我们台湾的现在的年轻朋友来做更多的交流，让我们了解就是我们在南岛文化上面有更多的这个共存的可能哦。那最后面有没有什么话想要对台湾的朋友来分享的呢？
I just want to encourage all of your whānau, the Tāu and your native indigenous people to just hold on to your culture, learn as much as you can, and seeing the importance of the boat building is really great. And I think that's a nice stepping stone into language learning.
Yeah, 在不同的族群对话之中呢，希望呢能够看到我们自己南岛民族的未来跟希望哦。那今天非常感谢3位老师，应该是现在5位老师的分享，谢谢你们。那在ZALAN见识南岛呢，我们有更多的机会邀请到不同的族人来分享自己的文化，也让其他的人能够了解我们的美。那今天感谢大家，ZALAN见识南岛，我们下周再见喽，谢谢大家，谢谢。
乌里族化身是一个很重要的当地的特色，树叶或是披在身上的羽毛，涂在身上的矿土比我们高明太多了。他们的背上用竹片把他的皮肤化开，皮肤结痂，然后形成一丘一丘的，有点类似像鳄鱼皮一样的这些纹理。
很简单的一张生活照，可是对于当时72岁的老人是非常不容易的一张照片，因为他没有办法取得这些照片，其实是可以活在当下，带给当事人一些新的力量。这个不需要停留在典藏单位，我们不需要只有一种诠释，我们可以有多种诠释。这就是为什么我们需要让影片回家，让影像回家。